I was born in Abbott, Texas, a little small town in central Texas, and I was raised by my grandparents, and my parents divorced when I was 6 months old.
After years of rumors and whispers, Willie Nelson finally sets the record straight, naming the artists he couldn't stand and why. Join us as we unravel the list of Willie Nelson's list of singers he didn't like. Number 5, Waylon Jennings. Waylon Jennings is well known for writing "Bob Wills is Still the King" after a disagreement over bookings with his fellow outlaw, Willie Nelson. He basically wanted to express his thoughts to Willie, so he wrote the song as a letter to share his feelings. Waylon released this track in 1975 on his album Dreaming My Dreams, and it also came out in August of that year. The song eventually made it into the top 10 on the country charts. Willie mentioned that he and Waylon had the same manager back then, Neil Reshen, who would sometimes suggest that Waylon was struggling with all his success in Austin. Even though they were really good friends until Waylon passed away, it doesn't mean there wasn't some competition between them. Willie observed that Waylon noticed how his picnics were attracting people from everywhere and gaining national attention. Waylon recognized that Willie's Texas Opry House was one of the most popular spots in the nation. He never referred to himself as the King of Austin, but Waylon heard others call him that. He felt that Willie was getting too much praise for his own good. So, when Waylon was scheduled to record a live album at the Texas Opry House, a place where Willie frequently performed and sold out shows, he had a specific song in mind. Willie mentioned that Waylon had a mischievous glint in his eye while he sang "Bob Wills is Still the King," a song that reflects Waylon's upbringing in Western swing. Willie stated that the audience went crazy for the song, and when Waylon finished his performance, he headed straight for Willie, who thought it was to check if he might be hurt. Waylon inquired about Willie's opinion on the song, and Willie replied that it sounded like a hit, and it was one of his best. Waylon then asked him about the lyrics, and Willie said they were right on the money. Willie further noted that Waylon seemed a bit let down. He was preparing for a debate, but Willie wasn't going to engage. He honestly stated that he actually liked the song, plus he believed in the truth. As far as he was concerned, Bob Wills was still the king. And if he had any dreams of being royalty, he didn't need Waylon to dethrone him. Life was already doing that. Naturally, Willie was quite successful in Austin and released commercially successful albums like Phases and Stages, but in the mid-70s, he was dropped by Atlantic Records, where his career had really begun to take off because he had complete creative control over his music. Willie later signed with Columbia in 1975 and released what many consider the greatest country album ever, Red-Headed Stranger. But even then, it wasn't an easy journey, even at the peak of his career. It wasn't just singers Willie clashed with. Sometimes, the entire system stood in his way, and Willie didn't follow the rule book. Let's find out more. Number 4, the Nashville establishment. Willie Nelson was a key player in the outlaw country movement during the 1970s. He didn't want to stick to the strict guidelines set by the Nashville country music industry. Instead, he opted to follow his own path, which allowed him the freedom to create the kind of music he genuinely believed in. This daring choice helped shift the course of country music and inspired many artists who followed in his footsteps. In 1972, Willie made a significant decision that transformed his career. He chose not to renew his contract with RCA Records, a prominent music label in Nashville. This demonstrated his desire for complete control over his music, without anyone dictating what he could or couldn't do. Following that, Willie relocated to Austin, Texas. The music scene there was more laid back and open-minded. People in Austin appreciated his blend of country, folk, and rock music. It was a departure from the typical country sound, but it resonated with fans who were seeking something new and authentic. In 1975, Willie released an album titled Red-Headed Stranger. It became a massive hit and is now regarded as a classic. The album featured a simple, raw sound, quite different from the polished music being produced in Nashville at that time. This album exemplified what outlaw country represented: sincere, heartfelt music that didn't adhere to the norms. Willie Nelson's decisions played a crucial role in launching a new movement in country music. He demonstrated that artists didn't have to conform to a specific mold to achieve success. They could be true to themselves, and that's what made the music genuinely impactful. Willie saw country music changing, and he didn't always like where it was going. He welcomed many sounds, but pop polish wasn't one of them. Let's find out why. Number 3, pop-influenced country artists. Willie Nelson, had strong opinions about certain country music artists in the 1970s. Willie Nelson has been a major figure in the music scene for many years. Known for being straightforward, he openly expressed his thoughts on other country singers during the 1970s. Willie Nelson has established himself as a country music legend over the years, and his position in the industry is still firmly recognized. As one of the genre's greats, Nelson has passionately defended who gets to create country music and what it should sound like. In the early 1970s, he and Jennings, along with other country musicians, started recording what became known as outlaw country music, which challenged the traditional values of Nashville. Willie Nelson was not a fan of pop singers entering the country music scene. His journey to fame as part of outlaw country was highlighted in the 2021 Netflix docuseries This Is Pop. Journalist Shuja Haider noted that in the 1960s, the music coming out of Nashville began to sound increasingly less like country music. It started incorporating orchestras and singers who lacked Southern accents. By the 1970s, pop artists like John Denver and Olivia Newton-John were releasing country albums. One person who was particularly frustrated by the rise of pop artists in country music was Nelson himself. In a clip from the 70s, Nelson stated that they don't want a bunch of high rollers rip-off artists from other parts of the world to come in and foul it up for the rest of the people. In 1976, Nelson joined forces with Jennings, Jesse Coulter, and Tom Paul Glaser to create the group The Outlaws. Their album, Wanted. The Outlaws became the first platinum album in country music history, selling over 1 million copies. Willie Nelson cares deeply about country music, and although he appeared to be bitter towards the newcomers in the country music scene, he was actually defending a genre that means a lot to him. Becoming a musician has been his dream for as long as he can remember. Willie shared that ever since he was young, music was his passion. In a 2010 interview, he expressed his belief that he could succeed based on his own abilities. That was his goal. He also pointed out that much of country music is melancholic, as he believes that most art is born from struggles and tough times. He further explained that country music is all about 3 chords and the truth, and there's a lot of sorrow in the world. Just as Willie was rising, a behind-the-scenes struggle with his own manager nearly brought it all crashing down. His next phase involved lawsuits, deception, and a manager Willie would soon regret trusting. Number 2, Neil Reshen. Nelson relocated to Austin, Texas, where the growing hippie music scene revitalized the singer. His fame in Austin skyrocketed as he showcased his unique style of country music, which blended elements of country, folk, and jazz. In March, he took the stage on the last day of the Dripping Springs Reunion, a 3-day country music festival that its organizers hoped would become an annual tradition. Although the turnout didn't meet expectations, the idea of the festival motivated Nelson to launch his own annual event, the 4th of July Picnic, starting the next year. Nelson chose to re-enter the recording industry. He brought on Neil Reshen as his manager to negotiate with RCA, which agreed to terminate his contract in exchange for a repayment of $14,000. Reshen eventually secured a deal for Nelson with Atlantic Records for $25,000 a year, making him the label's first country artist. He assembled his backing band, The Family, and by February 1973, he was in the studio recording his celebrated album Shotgun Willie at Atlantic Studios in New York City. Shotgun Willie, which came out in May 1973, received great reviews but didn't perform well in sales. The album marked a shift in Nelson's style, and he later remarked that Shotgun Willie had cleared his throat. His next album, Phases and Stages, released in 1974, was a concept album centered around a couple's divorce, drawing from his own life experiences. The first side of the record presents the woman's perspective, while the second side offers the man's viewpoint. The album featured the hit single Bloody Mary Morning. That same year, he produced and starred in the pilot episode of PBS's Austin City Limits. Nelson then transitioned to Columbia Records, where he signed a contract that granted him full creative control, thanks to the critical and commercial success of his earlier albums. The outcome was the highly praised and extremely popular 1975 concept album Red-Headed Stranger. Even though Columbia was hesitant to put out an album that mainly featured guitar and piano, Nelson and Waylon Jennings pushed for it. The album featured a cover of Fred Rose's 1945 song Blue Eyes, Crying in the Rain, which had already been released as a single before the album and became Nelson's first #1 hit as a singer. During his 1975 tour, Nelson raised money for PBS-affiliated stations in the South to promote Austin City Limits. The pilot episode was first aired on those stations and later broadcast nationwide. The show's positive reception led PBS to order 10 episodes for 1976, officially launching the series. As Jennings was also finding success in country music during the early 1970s, the two were grouped into a genre known as outlaw country, as it did not adhere to Nashville's standards. The album Wanted, The Outlaws, released in 1976 with Jesse Coulter and Tom Paul Glazer, solidified their outlaw image and became the first platinum album in country music. Later that same year, Nelson released The Sound in Your Mind, which was certified gold in 1978 and platinum in 2001, and his first gospel album, Troublemaker, certified gold in 1986. In the summer of 1977, Nelson found out that Reshen had been filing tax extensions and not paying the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, since he became his manager. In June, a package containing illegal substances was sent from Reshen's office in New York to Jennings in Nashville. The DEA followed the package, leading to Jennings's arrest. The charges were eventually dropped because Reshen's assistant, Mark Rothbaum, intervened and took the blame. Rothbaum was sentenced to jail time. Impressed by his response, Nelson fired Reshen and brought Rothbaum on as his new manager. In 1990, the IRS took most of Nelson's belongings, saying he owed $30 million. Besides the unpaid taxes, Nelson's situation got worse because of the bad investments he made in the early 1980s. After firing his manager Neil Reshen in 1978, Dallas lawyer Terry Bray introduced Nelson to the accounting firm Price Waterhouse. To pay off the debt Reshen had created with the IRS, Nelson was advised to invest in tax shelters that ended up failing. The IRS rejected his deductions for 1980, 1981, and 1982, when Nelson's income had increased, and because of penalties and interest, the debt grew by the end of the decade. His lawyer, Jay Goldberg, managed to reduce the amount to $16 million. Later, Nelson's attorney worked out a deal with the IRS where he paid $6 million, but Nelson didn't stick to the agreement. He released the IRS tapes, Who'll Buy My Memories, as a double album with all the profits going to the IRS. Many of his belongings were auctioned off and bought by friends, who either donated or rented them back to him for a small fee. He sued Price Waterhouse, claiming they put his money into illegal tax shelters. The lawsuit was settled for an undisclosed amount, and by 1993, Nelson had cleared his debts. Just when you thought his feud list was done, a singer-songwriter found himself on the wrong end of Willie's unfiltered honesty. Let's find out who. Number 1. Ed Sheeran. Willie Nelson and Ed Sheeran found themselves in an unexpected feud that grabbed the attention of music fans all over the world. The conflict started when both artists dropped songs with similar titles and themes around the same time. Nelson's team accused Sheeran of heavily borrowing from Willie's unique style and lyrical themes. They argued that Sheeran's song had striking similarities to one of Nelson's unreleased tracks. Sheeran strongly denied these claims, saying that any similarities were just a coincidence. He expressed his respect for Nelson's work, but insisted that his own creative process was completely independent. The situation escalated when Nelson's management threatened to take legal action, pointing out possible copyright infringement. Music industry experts chimed in, examining both songs for their similarities and differences. As tensions increased, fans of both artists took to social media, igniting heated discussions about originality in songwriting. The controversy took over music news for weeks, overshadowing the recent achievements of both artists. In the end, Nelson and Sheeran decided to meet privately to talk things over. This meeting resulted in a mutual understanding and a public statement announcing that the issue was resolved peacefully. And behind every headline, feud, and hit song stood one unforgettable figure who changed country music forever. Join us as we uncover the life, the legacy, and the fire that made him unforgettable. Willie Nelson. Willie Hugh Nelson, born on April 29, 1933, is a well-known American singer, guitarist, songwriter, actor, and activist. He played a significant role in the outlaw country subgenre that emerged in the late 1960s as a response to the conservative Nashville sound. His album, Shotgun Willie, received critical acclaim, and the success of Red-Headed Stranger and Stardust helped establish him as one of the most famous artists in country music. Nelson wrote his first song when he was just 7 years old and joined his first band at the age of 10. While in high school, he toured locally as the lead singer and guitarist for the Bohemian Polka. After graduating in 1950, he enlisted in the U.S. Air Force, but was discharged later due to back issues. Upon his return, he spent 2 years at Baylor University before dropping out to pursue his music career. In 1960, he relocated to Nashville, Tennessee, where he signed a publishing deal with Pamper Music, which enabled him to join Ray Price's band as a bassist. In 1962, he released his debut album, And Then I Wrote. Thanks to this success, Nelson signed with RCA Victor in 1964 and became a member of the Grand Ole Opry the following year. After experiencing some mid-chart hits in the late 1960s and early 1970s, he grew tired of the corporate Nashville music scene and moved to Austin, Texas in 1972. The vibrant music scene in Austin inspired Nelson to get back into performing, and he frequently appeared at the Armadillo World headquarters. In 1973, after signing with Atlantic Records, Nelson shifted to outlaw country, releasing albums like Shotgun Willie and Phases and Stages. In 1975, he moved to Columbia Records, where he produced the highly praised album Red-Headed Stranger. That same year, he collaborated with Waylon Jennings, Jesse Coulter, and Tom Paul Glazer on another outlaw country album, Wanted: The Outlaws. During the mid-1980s, while he was making hit albums such as Honeysuckle Rose and recording popular songs like On the Road Again, To All the Girls I've Loved Before, and Pancho and Lefty, he became a member of the country supergroup The Highwaymen, alongside fellow artists Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and Chris Christopherson. In 1985, he played a key role in organizing the first Farm Aid concert to support American farmers. These concerts have continued every year since, with Nelson participating in each one. Nelson made his acting debut in the 1979 film The Electric Horseman, and he has since appeared in various movies and television shows. He is also a prominent liberal activist and serves as the co-chair of the advisory board for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, NORML, which advocates for marijuana legalization. On the environmental side, Nelson owns the biodiesel brand Willie Nelson Biodiesel, which produces fuel from vegetable oil. Additionally, he is the honorary chairman of the advisory board for the Texas Music Project, the official music charity of Texas. Nelson has been married 4 times and has 8 kids. His first marriage was to Martha Matthews from 1952 to 1962. They had 3 children, Lana, Susie, and Willie Billy Hugh Jr., who sadly took his own life in 1991. Their marriage was troubled, with Matthews physically abusing Nelson multiple times, including one shocking incident where she wrapped him in bed sheets and hit him with a broomstick. After that, Nelson married Shirley Colley in 1963, but they divorced in 1971 when Colley discovered a bill from a Houston maternity ward addressed to Nelson and Connie Koepke for the birth of Paula Carlene Nelson. That same year, Nelson married Koepke, and they welcomed another daughter, Amy Lee Nelson. After their divorce in 1988, he tied the knot with his current wife, Annie D'Angelo, in 1991. Together, they have 2 sons, Lucas Autry and Jacob Micah. In 2012, Nelson found out he had a daughter with his friend Mary Haney. Renee Butts, originally Linda Renee Barley, born on January 22, 1953, met Nelson and posted a picture of them together on Father's Day in 2016. Unfortunately, Butts passed away in 2017. Nelson owns a ranch called Luck, Texas in Spicewood, and also resides in Maui, Hawaii, where he has several celebrity neighbors. In 1981, while swimming in Hawaii, Nelson experienced a lung collapse. He was rushed to Maui Memorial Hospital, leading to the cancellation of his upcoming concerts. Nelson would temporarily quit smoking cigarettes whenever his lungs got congested, but he would start again once he felt better. He used to smoke between 2 and 3 packs daily. After dealing with pneumonia multiple times, he decided to quit smoking tobacco. In 2008 and 2004, Nelson had surgery for carpal tunnel syndrome because he had hurt his wrists from playing the guitar too much. Following his doctor's advice, he canceled his upcoming concerts and focused on writing songs while he recovered. In 2012, he had to cancel a fundraising event in the Denver area. He experienced breathing issues due to the high altitude and emphysema, which led to him being taken to a local hospital. His publicist, Elaine Schock, quickly confirmed that Nelson's health was stable and that he was on his way to his next concert in Dallas, Texas. After facing several bouts of pneumonia and emphysema over the years, Nelson underwent stem cell therapy in 2015 to help improve his lung condition. As a child, Nelson developed an interest in martial arts. He ordered self-defense books on jiu-jitsu and judo that he found in Batman and Superman comic books. Nelson began practicing kung fu formally after relocating to Nashville in the 1960s. In the 1980s, he started training in Taekwondo and now holds a second-degree black belt in that martial art. In 2010, Nelson put out Country Music, a collection of classic songs produced by T-Bone Burnett. The album reached number 4 on Billboard's top country albums and number 20 on the Billboard 200. It was nominated for Best Americana Album at the 2011 Grammy Awards. In 2011, Nelson took part in the Kokua for Japan concert, a fundraising event for the victims of the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami in Japan, which raised $1,600,000. In February 2012, Legacy Recordings made a deal with Nelson that included releasing new music as well as older tracks that he would choose and enhance with outtakes and other materials. With this new agreement, Buddy Cannon came back to produce Nelson's recordings. After picking the songs and the sound with the artist, Cannon's approach involved recording the tracks with studio musicians, and then Nelson would finish the takes in a separate session with his guitar. Cannon's collaboration with Nelson also included songwriting, as the singer and producer would compose lyrics by exchanging text messages. Nelson's initial album for Legacy Recordings was Heroes, which featured guest appearances from his sons Lucas and Micah, who are part of the band Insects vs. Robots, along with Ray Price, Merle Haggard, Snoop Dogg, Chris Christopherson, Jamie Johnson, Billy Joe Shaver, and Sheryl Crow. The album climbed to number 4 on Billboard's top country albums. In 2018, Nelson performed a song called Cruel World, written by Daniel Lanois, for the soundtrack of Rockstar Games' action-adventure video game Red Dead Redemption 2. Lanois specifically wrote the song for Nelson. However, when a hurricane stopped Nelson from recording it, the production team sent the track to Josh Homme, hoping he could record it in time for the game's launch. Eventually, Nelson managed to record the song in Los Angeles. The team thought about merging both versions into a duet, but decided to include both in the game. Also in 2018, Nelson contributed to Restoration, a cover album featuring various country versions of songs originally by Elton John, where he performed Border Song. His 2019 album, Ride Me Back Home, reached number 2 on the Billboard Top Country Albums chart. For the title track, Nelson won the Grammy Award for Best Country Solo Performance. After the U.S. coronavirus pandemic lockdown started in March 2020, Nelson hosted a series of benefit concerts online. The first 2 concerts raised $700,000 to help those who faced financial difficulties because of the impact on the U.S. economy. The third concert, which took place on April 20, 2020, was a variety show called Come and Toke It. That same year, Karen O reached out to Nelson for a collaboration. They decided to perform the song Under Pressure by David Bowie and Queen. For his albums The Willie Nelson Family and A Beautiful Time, Nelson earned 4 nominations at the 65th Annual Grammy Awards, winning in 2 categories, Best Country Solo Performance and Best Country Album. In December 2022, Mark Rothbaum announced a 5-part documentary titled Willie Nelson and Family, which premiered at the 2023 Sundance Film Festival. In 2023, Nelson played at 2 concerts at the Hollywood Bowl to celebrate his 90th birthday and was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Following the passing of Chris Christopherson in September 2024, Nelson became the last surviving member of the Highwaymen. Nelson is well known as an American icon. He was added to the Country Music Hall of Fame in 1993, and he got the Kennedy Center honors in 1998. In 2011, Nelson was honored by being inducted into the National Agricultural Hall of Fame for his work with Farm Aid and other fundraising efforts to support farmers. In 2015, he received the Gershwin Prize, a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Library of Congress. In 2018, the Texas Institute of Letters welcomed him as a member for his contributions to songwriting. Rolling Stone also recognized him by including him in their lists of the 100 Greatest Singers and 100 Greatest Guitarists. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.